Fingers crossed. How's it going, guys? Matt with Motorworks here, and in this video I'm hoping that we get the Accord to fire up and take it for a little lap around the block today. It's kind of a tall order. I don't know what I have to get into. This is literally the beginning of the video. Obviously I put a little hint as to what happens later on in the video, but this is the beginning of the video, guys. I don't know what's going to happen today, but my goal is to get the car to start and to run so that I know if I'm going to need anything, or just to know where I'm at with the car. So that's the goal today, is to get it to run. Before I do that, however, there are a few things that I have to make sure are right before I actually crank the engine over to see if it'll start. Alright, so we are under the hood here. Now, I don't know if you watched the last upload. Basically, this car was taken apart. The cylinder head was removed. It was replaced with a new cylinder head, and they pretty much got that far with it. So I'm going to go back and kind of double check the work. I'm not going to remove the cylinder head. I was up in the air on it, but I'm not going to actually remove the cylinder head. I'm just going to check the head bolts, make sure that they're torqued. I'm going to adjust the valves in this. I'm going to set the timing because they were unsure about the timing. I'm also just going to check over the entire engine, make sure that there wasn't anything missed, a gasket or a seal, make sure that that stuff's all where it's supposed to be. I'm going to hunt to see if there is a belt, because I am missing a power steering belt here. The alternator belt is there. I'm also missing the timing covers for the engine, so I'm hoping that that stuff's in the car. Brackets, things like that aren't bolted down. I'm hoping that the bolts were just, taken off and they put them in the car. That's what I'm hoping. So, yeah, before we actually start the engine, crank it over, or do any of that, I'm going to see what is actually in the car and see if there's anything I need to go off to the auto parts store and get. But that's what we're going to do now. We're just going to tear into the car and see what's inside. All right, here we go. It's always fun to me to dig into a car and just to see what you find, what people had. It's kind of a moment in time, if you will. A lot of people stop working on these things, and it's just whatever's in there is in there. So this is always an interesting thing to me, to actually tear into a car and just see what's in there. And then we're also going to see how much money this car pays us back, because there's always loose change. So we'll just see how much money we made back on the deal. All right, so just going to remove everything. I have a piece of cardboard set up in the front of the car here to put any little pieces on. So let's see. Sweet bumper here. Alright, we're going to speed this up. Alright, so it looks like we have a bunch of the small parts here. Fender liner that was out of the car. Looks like they had a check engine problem because they took the kick panel out and they removed the ECUs, both the transmission and the engine ECU. It looks like they had a jumper cable hooked up checking check engine codes. So I don't know what that's all about. Hopefully it is part of the cooling issue, but it will be something, we'll see if the check engine light's on when we start it up. Heat shield we have for the headers. We do have all the timing covers here, and it looks like we may be short a few bolts for the cruise control, but I think I have some 6mm bolts I can use there. You know, the rear of the timing cover, so we'll have to remove the cam gear again so we can get this on the back, and then the front cover. So it looks like all the timing stuff is there. It looks like the bracket for the intake manifold is off. We'll just have to put that back on. We do have the grill. We do have the bumper, as you saw. You know, we do have the bumper, so put that back on the front of the car. So we can, now that I have the big stuff, you know, that was clogging up the interior, we can go in and actually sort through and see if maybe we can find the little bolts and just see what we have. So let's head inside the car and see what that looks like. I don't see any additional bolts, so I might have to get some bolts and make that stuff work that is missing. But let's go up to the engine and we will check that out, see what is needed. Hopefully I don't need to replace anything in the engine, and I just have to check a bunch of stuff. But I'm usually the least lucky person when it comes to buying a car for cheap and having it start right up without any issues. Maybe this YouTube purchase will be a different story, but I highly doubt it. But let's go check out the engine bay and see what I have to look forward to. Everything's stuck in place here. It's like it's frozen in time. Unfreeze! Unfreeze! Bolts, pulleys, etc. All of you. Alrighty, come on. Over there. Let's go. Let's go, people. Move it. Aha. Got it. Oh, keep this bolt. Back in. Oh. Anybody else make old man noises when they're working on stuff? Or old woman noises? You ladies are watching. I'm so old. There we go. Alright. So I'm going to check the timing. It looks like some stuff was missed when it's put back together. A couple bolts are missing, so that's never good. I want to see if it was timed correctly, because at this point my concern is somebody tried to start it, and when it was just kind of assembled back together, I think somebody might have tried to start the car, and if they did, my hope is that they had it timed correctly and they didn't mess anything up or bend any valves or break anything. So that's my main concern, is to just check the timing and see if it was correct. I'm going to take everything off and clean everything really good, figure out what the bolts situation is in there, and see if I can't get that straightened out. But like I said, it's never, for me, I've never had luck of just getting a car and everything, just you put it back on there and it starts up and it's no problem. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright guys, current situation here. Yeah, it's a little tight. So this worked. It actually, I probably didn't need all of this. It did eventually break freely. It probably just had a stuck ring or something from sitting, but it now turns over. So it works. And it actually jumped timing when I did that, so I'm not going to be able to tell if the timing was on at this point. So I'm just going to take it all apart and see what I need to replace in order to get this thing back together. But yeah, I did require the use of a breaker bar to get the engine to spin freely. It now spins freely, so I can check everything else at this point. Apparently I have a Honda self-aligning timing belt. You just throw it on there and it lines itself up. It's got a cutaway for the water pump, and then around the top gear and bottom gear, and it's good to go. Actually, it is a Honda timing belt, so that's kind of cool. They did go with good Honda parts, and it looks like it is brand new 3 years ago. So I think we're just going to use this belt again because it's only 3 years old and it doesn't look like it was ever used. Just sat on the car, you know. And so we are going to reuse this bad boy. So I'm going to throw this in the car. Save you for later, little guy. Alright, so I can't just throw the timing belt on the car like I had hoped. If you look behind this gear here, the cam gear, there's no seal. So this does not have a cam seal on it. I guess it was never installed whenever they put the camshaft into this new cylinder head. They just did not put the cam seal in there. So that is something I'm going to have to get. So I need a seal. I'm going to need some fluids. I'm going to need coolant. There's currently no coolant or antifreeze because it is wintertime. There's nothing in the radiator, so I'm at least going to get some. Maybe it's just low, but I need antifreeze. I need oil. The cylinder head looks like it's never been started. You know, everything in there looks new, as far as either new or rebuilt. But camshaft looks like it was used. So I'm thinking they just got a cylinder head and put the old camshaft in, and for whatever reason did not put that cam seal on the end there. So it makes me wonder if this O-ring on this distributor is there. So I'm going to also have to check that. But I am going to make a parts run now, and hopefully we can get this thing to fire up, because if all I need to do is just throw a cam seal in there, time it, check the valves, check the head bolts, make sure they're tight, I don't see why I wouldn't get this to fire up. Now, we're also charging a battery that was from 2011, February of 2011. It says it was charging, so we'll see if we can bring this battery back from the dead. If not, I will have to get a battery for it, but I do have a jump pack, so I'm not concerned there. My main focus now is to go to the parts store and get all the stuff I need. Alrighty guys, not sure what all you could see, but I got my light on everything. So this was kind of a nightmare. What I mean by that is the cam gear wasn't tight. That bolt was loose. I mean, I had to replace the seal behind it, but it still wasn't tight. So I don't know if that's what the previous owner was planning on doing, but yeah, that wasn't tight. The cam cap bolts were hand tight. They were not torqued down. The valves were way out of adjustment, so I'm glad I took the valve cover off and inspected everything under here. I really wanted to take this off actually and take this apart to make sure that they remembered to put the O-rings under these covers here. These O-rings tend to leak, and sometimes when people do a cylinder head job, they forget to put these O-rings under here, and I just wanted to make sure that stuff was in. The head bolts were torqued, so that is good. They did have those torqued, but everything else was just kind of on there and hand tight. So I am glad that I took the time to do that. I have the engine timed as far as the timing belt's concerned. I do have that on. It's timed correctly. I just have to put the balance shaft belt on yet, throw the valve cover back on, and once I get the balance shaft on and everything timed up, hopefully she starts and runs like a dream. So that's the next thing I have to do. Just kind of a heads up as to what I've been doing. It is cold out here. It's also the next night, so I did not get it done last night, and it was because it went to 20 degrees and I had no heating oil for my little heater here. But I would not be out here if I did not have that thing. So that's just the update with where we're at. Gonna slap the valve cover back on, throw spark plugs back in it, and hopefully this bad boy fires up and we are good to go. Alrighty guys, we have got this thing back together enough. I don't have the timing covers on or the belts hooked up. Again, if it doesn't run good or it's making weird noises, I'm just going to pull this engine out. So I'm not going to spend the time to put anything back in the event that something goes wrong or it sounds horrible. But get everything out of the way. We are going to fire this thing up. This gas has been in this car for about 3 years, so hopefully I don't have a stuck injector or something like that. Hopefully the fuel pump works. Hopefully everything just goes smooth and I have no problems. But here we go. Fingers crossed. Ooh, that didn't sound good. Oh, it's trying. Alright, we're going to try this again. I got the van hooked up, jumper cables. Now we'll see what happens. Here we go. Give it a minute. Maybe it doesn't want to start. Well guys, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose with these things. I need to get a battery for the car. I mean, I don't think it's the battery causing it not to start, but I do need a battery for the car so I don't have to jump start it, and I just need a battery because that one's old. But yeah, I gotta check to see if it's getting spark. I smell fuel. The fuel is old. Now I'm not gonna lie, the fuel in this car is old, but it does seem like the fuel injectors are working, and I've seen cars run on some pretty poor fuel before, so I don't think fuel is the issue right now. Now, it might be getting too much fuel, but right now I don't think fuel is the issue. I think what the issue is it's not getting spark. I won't know that until I get a good battery and actually test for spark. But, yeah, that's going to do it for this video. It got kind of cold, and my heater here ran out of diesel fuel, so I have to fill that back up. It got really cold once that did that. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. I'm trying to get this thing running. It did actually have a little hint that it wanted to start, so it might just be something with the ignition. I got to pull the distributor cap off, see what's going on inside there. Maybe it's just gummed up or corroded. You know, it could be just a simple fix such as that. But I won't know. Like I said, it's getting too cold out, and I'm a baby, so oh well. I don't like freezing my fingers. That's just me. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully we get this thing running in the next video, but thanks for checking this one out. We'll see you in the next video.